everybody and welcome. Jack here. I am going to show you how to illustrate today, whether it be comics, maybe a children's book, something like that. Main focus here is what tools I use and how I do my illustrations. Thanks and enjoy. Alright, so first thing is first you're going to have a drawing set up, which I had already started this one. So for the sake of the video, this is the one I'm going to use. Now how I started it off was with a 4H pencil, and this cost about $1 at the art store. The thing with this is it's really, really light, so you can actually draw over it easy and erase the lines easy. And after you get your sketch on with your pencil, and what I use is, which is in a Statler case because I like the way it stands up, but anyway, what it is, they're actually micron pens of various sizes, and they are pigment ink, and it dries very fast. It's very easy to use alcohol markers and things like that over it without smearing the black ink. Also here, if you're going to do any kind of highlighting whatsoever after you do your drawing, I would actually recommend India ink and a very thin brush here to actually get real fine detailing going. Also, there's going to be two different styles of white pens here that I use. One is a Deco-Color opaque white paint pen, which is extra fine. And also two, which this one's a little thicker here. And this one is a Faber-Castell Pitt Artist pen. And this is also India ink. It's very good for the thicker lines. Now, what I use for coloring, like as you see in the picture here, the way I colored these characters here, I actually used various art markers. And the different kinds that I use are Prismacolor, which an example here, this is my 10% cool gray Prismacolor marker. The good thing about these, it actually has a fine tip on one end and a chisel tip on the other end. And if you learn how to master this chisel tip and various ways you can hold it in your hand, it can be very useful, and I highly recommend these because they're not that expensive and they have a pretty decent amount of ink in them, which is alcohol based. Also, I will use Copic markers, or some people call them Copic, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't matter. Either way, it's spelled the same. But I do have various colors here. I know other people who have larger collections, but for the most part, this is what I need for what I do. And these are kind of expensive, so I try to use them sparingly, because at the art store they're about $8 to $9 each, and you can find them online for about $6 to $7. So it all depends. If you really need one at the art store, go get it. If not, shop online because it'll save you some money. And actually, before I close this, the good thing with these is that it actually has, and I'll quickly show you here, a brush tip, which is very useful, and a chisel tip here, which once again is also very useful if you get the hang of it. A little smaller than Prismacolor's chisel, but still works just fine. And it's also good to have a set of gray tones, whether it be with the Prismacolors like I have over here, or also too in this case, I actually have some Copics, and looks like I ran out of my Cool Gray Zero, but I need another one. But it's good to have some kind of gray tone set. Also here, instead of using markers too, depending on what you want to do, sometimes for characters in the foreground I like to use the markers, something up close. For the background, now like in this picture here, I actually started with a cool 10%, a cool gray, for the lines of the curve. And I'm actually going to fill in some with the markers as well for the background. But when it comes to like the sky and things like that, I actually like to use a different medium, which is going to be watercolor pencils. And the good thing about watercolor pencils is that you can use them in very different ways. What I actually like to do is, instead of, a lot of people like to color it down and actually then use a brush on top of it. That's good for watercolor paper. This is actually cardstock. Sometimes I use Bristol board, which is really good for markers, the smooth. But here, I can actually just take this, which is a water brush pen. All it is, it has water inside the barrel here, and that brush tip. And what's good about that is I can actually take the tip, take that off again, and go against the pencil here to get the pigment inside here, and then I'll actually lay it down on the drawing itself in the background, make clouds, the sky, things like that. Other ways to use it, to lay down a lot of color in the area like the sky, is you can take your art knife and actually shave it into the area that you want the color laid down, and then you can actually go on top of it with, which this is still sitting in the water, with any kind of brush, I guess something like that, a little messed up brush, but whatever, and kind of swirl it into the background, giving it a nice watercolor effect for the sky, which is nice when you mix mediums. You just have to be careful on how to do it. Now when this is all said and done, when I'm done with all the handwork, all the different various mediums that I put down on the paper, I will actually scan this into the computer, and then I will bring it up in various programs like GIMP, Adobe Illustrator, even Microsoft Paint. Something as simple as that works really well if you're just putting font on top of it, because this is going to be a comic cover, so I'm going to put font up here. So you don't want to really cover the sky up too much with the font, but still you can position it correctly to make it look nice. Also in Photoshop programs like GIMP and things like that, Adobe or Microsoft Paint once again, you can actually do different things depending on the brushes you have in the program. You could actually do highlights, put a sun there, maybe a moon in the background, maybe I'm going to go into a night scene. I haven't decided yet. So you can actually stamp different things in there with different brushes to give it a different kind of effect. Now that's how I do my illustrations, and I wanted to say just thanks for watching. I hope this was a little helpful for people struggling with different mediums. If you have any questions or any comments or anything, just leave them below and I'll be happy to try to answer them to the best of my ability. Thanks again, guys, and remember, like and subscribe.